As you all know, I love Jack. We'll see what we can find here. A little bird. Not a ton in here, obviously. It looks like someone might have already picked through. There's a chance of that. But there's some stuff. It's a pretty dare. It's missing its head, of course, but... or legs, or... I don't even know what it's missing anymore. This one's missing its head. So, we might not find a lot, but we'll find a few things, I'm sure. There's the head to that big guy, but he's also missing his legs and his unicorn. This is the fun part of things. Some of this can be used for like TC when she does her things. So I'm taking them for her. That one goes to this, I think. The laying down one. Those things are made very cheap. Oh, this is cute. Isn't he cute? Some of the stuff I'm sure Trish will use. Not the best score, but it's a score. Score is a score, right? I got a Jack the Skeleton bag, so I'm happy. Ghosts and Goblins, that's a little bit late to the show. That one's wet, otherwise the rescue would have used it. You're asking for that again. My phone. I found a phone. Nope, it's really my phone. I don't know, gloves, guys. I just jumped in. So much noise. Like, come on, R5, get with the program. Oh my God, it's like every step I take, every step you take. So, got a bit of an unfortunate occurrence today. My car needs some work done. So I may be out of commission for a little while, unless I can fix it. One of the ways I'm frugal, I fix a lot of the stuff with my car myself. I think it's the water pump. So, let me know if I'm able to fix it. Do you guys want to see that video? It's not dumpster diving, obviously. But do you want to see me do my own work on my car? Let me know. It's pretty. So, let me know if you'd like to see that in the comments. Not a huge little score, but yeah, cool Jack the Skeleton bag. That's normally $3. Well, guys, happy 2020. Merry Christmas to me. Unless I can fix this myself or until I can afford to get it fixed, I'm out. You can see that's all wrapped around. And look at the wobble going on. I gotta see what exactly it is for sure. Look into how it gets fixed, how much it's gonna cost. See if I can fix it, and if I can fix it, I guess that'll be my project till that's done. I have no car. Merry Christmas to me. Happy 2020. Yay. Gotta love this year. Do you guys want to see the video if I'm able to fix it? Let me know in the comments. Always something, guys. Always something. Okay, everyone. So we are going to first remove this hose, which is the radiator hose. That's gonna get the coolant out, or get some of this coolant out. And you also have to remove that so you can get the shroud and fan out to get to the water pump. Not a hard job per se, but there are a lot of steps. These got the regular clamps on it. Some of them have a plastic clamp that you have to squeeze. These have the nicer ones that you just take a screwdriver and you turn it and loosen it up. like these kinds much better. Once that's done, you can kind of wiggle the, loosen it up a little bit more. I will note I am not a mechanic by any means. Once that's done, you can kind of wiggle. Sometimes you need to use a screwdriver or something to help loosen the hose from everything, because it's just kind of glued in place, even though it's not glued. Don't drop your tools. Make sure you have a catch bucket underneath as well. I do have that already underneath, because you're going to have coolant drip, and animals love to drink coolant, but it's not good for them. So you don't want to leave it all over the place. It's not good for the environment. It's not good for animals. So make sure you have something to catch that coolant underneath. Now, we just got to figure out how to get this off, because it's not wanting to move. You don't want to damage the hose either. I can note things never go as you plan when you do this stuff. It really just doesn't. It's all the way up to here where it's on. So there's a lot of hose to remove. So see if we can't get this side off first. Give me a little bit more wiggle. I'm going to see if we can not have to remove the whole thing, since now that's kind of able to be moved. We might be able to leave this one still. So next thing's next. I'm going to see if I can't get this belt out of my way that got destroyed. I have a mechanic on standby that I can call. He has faith in me. He's walked me through plenty of car repairs that I have done myself. I'm lucky in that sense. I do have a mechanic I can call and say, help. I don't know what I'm looking at. I don't know what I need to do next. You should have gloves on. You really should. You're going to get a mess doing any mechanical work. I'm just not a glove wearer, so my hands are going to be filthy. But he's walked me through quite a bit. He knows my abilities with the cars. My husband is home, sleeping, but home. So I have him as well if need be. He knows how to do a lot of stuff. So that as well is a plus. You jump into this stuff kind of blindly though, and you just hope for the best. I'm not getting this thing. If I can get my hand down there, it would help. And this is the joy of working on cars, is you're working in a space that is not very easy to move in. I don't know if this is part of that serpentine belt that got frayed or what it for sure is. All I know is it's got to come off of here. So we're going to keep on going around with that. And there's piece of it. I don't know, maybe. I'm guessing it is, because I think this is a lot wider than what it is on there. But I got a piece off. Now the big thing, I'm not sure about the tool that I'm going to need here to remove the nut, but we got to remove that big old nut down there. And there's the other piece, which does look like it probably came off that serpentine belt. So this has to get removed to remove the clutch fan from the fan.
I'm having some chips.
Okay. So that has to get removed, and you also have to get this fan up and out of the housing here, so you can remove this whole fan, shroud, and fan out of the car, out of your way. Now be careful when doing that. You don't want to mess up the blades of the fan or hit the radiator. There's a lot of things you gotta be careful of. This is why you wear gloves right here, guys. Getting dirty. But you gotta remove that, get that nut off, get this out, get this out. Sometimes, now to get out of here, sometimes you do have to cut the shroud, remove the whole front end of this Envoy, or you'd have to take the fan off the shroud so you have a little bit more wiggle room. It looks to me like we're going to be able to get this out without having to do all that, but we'll find out. Now, to remove the front shroud, you do have a couple nuts that have to get taken out, like right here. And I think there's another one on this side, right here. And then it should lift out, other than having to get this nut off. I have to find what I'm going to use to get that nut off. And then this comes out. Then you loosen the clutch fan first, loosen it before you take this serpentine belt off. And then take the serpentine belt off and you get to the water pump. Simple enough, right? Let's dive in. So to remove the bolts from the shroud, I'm using just a 10mm socket. And I was using the an actual wrench for it, but it got so hard to move. Once it's loosened, it was easy enough to use this. So I'm just using a screwdriver attachment. Pull that off. Don't lose any of your pieces and your parts. But that's off now. So that's one of them. Got a second one over here. Probably gonna have to use that socket again, because this isn't easy when it's tight. But don't lose your pieces that you're taking off. Granted, you can easily replace them, I'm sure, but you don't want to have to deal with all that. See, I have issues with this sometimes. I think it's how I hold it. But once that starts loosening, I find it easier to switch around and use this. Now, we gotta move a hose out of our way. Is loose from the car, besides it needing to come out of the tabs and that nut. Then that can get lifted out. Another thing I forgot to mention is make sure you disconnect your negative battery. You also have this wire harness right here that needs to get removed. Should be relatively easy compared to everything else that we're doing. Just gotta figure out where the tabs are usually. I'm kind of messing around here. figuring things out. Where's the... There, it's those. Right? Oh my goodness. As I said, I'm not a mechanic, guys. I'm just trying to figure this out as I go. You guys are pain in the... Okay. Everyone has said that's real simple. It's not coming out for me. You also have these hoses here that need to get taken out of the car, or out of the holder. Another thing that everyone says is real simple. Watch it be hard. Because we're talking about me here. You don't want to damage them. So you're going to remove those. You're going to use a flathead screwdriver. You're going to remove this cable. I need to mess with it. Again, not a mechanic. But those got to get removed. Now to remove this nut on the clutch fan, you need a tool set. You can rent them at the auto parts place, but the fan clutch wrench set, that's it. You can rent that and return it. You're going to need the 72 millimeter as well as the 36 millimeter. This 72, you hook up your breaker bar to it. It's got the little spots that you can put it to. You're going to put that on back here on the nuts, and then you're going to take this and you're going to put it on the big nut. This is to hold it. You're going to break it. I've already broken it, so it's a lot easier. Turn them opposite directions. Once you break it, you just need the one, because now that water pump won't move. So now you can just remove it by putting the wrench on, and it's just gonna go and turn. Or you can also turn it by hand. So now I just got to get those two parts removed and get that disconnected, and then we're gonna have to, yeah, see, they didn't cut this out already, so, oh, they did. It looks like someone already has hacked a hole here, so that makes that a lot easier. So once we get that all done, we can get this removed and all that. Okay, so to remove that wire harness, you do use a screwdriver. So that's done. Now we have this. I backed it all the way off. Just be careful you don't hit your radiator. So this nut is off. Like I said, once you got it loose, you can technically manually turn the fan to get it off. Now, someone did notch this out, so that's a plus. This hose could come completely off. Let me see if I'll... It just doesn't want to move. It's like, no, I like it here. Now, this is set into tabs. You can see that one there. And there's one at the bottom too, so you gotta try to hold everything. You don't want anything to hit the radiator. Lift up. Now, gotta get it all out. That's out. Now we gotta try to move it so we can get this to that notch. I think it's all out of them. They don't make anything easy, I will say that. Probably gonna have to get that off. It wasn't wanting to come off for me. There's another tab at the bottom of this that hopefully it's out of, I can't tell. and it is out. Hopefully the fan is no worse for the wear. And there is our fan and clutch fan. That's the clutch fan here. We don't need to replace that today. What we're replacing is this water pump right here. So this is what needs to get taken out. We have to take these nuts out, and it'll make a nice big mess. Now you can see everything. Let's see, this is the radiator right here. That's what you didn't want to damage. And it looks okay from what I can see. So we're on to this step. Getting this water pump out. You're going to use your wrench again. 13 millimeters is what you need. You're going to take all these nuts off. There's socket wrench. I have a catch pan down here because I did not drain it. I talked to my mechanic. He said don't waste the time. Just make sure you have a catch pan because it is going to be a mess. So we did not drain it. We're going to break all of these before taking the serpentine belt off. Because if you break it with the serpentine belt off, it will wiggle and move and you won't break it. So you want to break it while the serpentine belt is still on. Once that's all loose, I'm going to do one more go around just to make sure. We're ready to take that serpentine belt off. To loosen the tension, you're going to loosen down here. There's a spot you can fit down here with your stuff to loosen everything up. I did get that hose completely off. You're going to take this belt off once that's done. The diagram is on your piece of plastic that just came out. I can't think of the name. Guys, I'm not a mechanic. Like I said, I call everything wrong. Just watch what I do, don't listen to what I say, I guess. But you're going to loosen this so that you can take this belt off, and then we'll go ahead and finish loosening all these nuts on this water pump. Love to get it off. Voila. Wasn't sure if I was recording for a second there. Once the belt's loose enough to come off, you can just kind of pull that all off of there. That's garbage. So there's your belt that we just took off. Now we can loosen the rest of these and get this water pump out of here. And then we're ready to start installing. Now it's loose enough to do this by hand, so we're just going to go ahead and do it by hand. Remember, it's going to be a mess. If it's not a mess, then you had a leak for a while, and that can be an issue too. So, without realizing it, the phone, well, not the phone, but my GoPro did die, so I didn't get the removal of the water pump. Once you knock the pulley off, I had to pry that off because it was seized, so I heated it up, put a screwdriver in there, and kind of just hit it with a hammer till it knocked loose. It exposed this part, though the other part was obviously dirtier. Where those holes are at the top here where my finger is, there are bolts holding it in place. There's 5 total, 2 on the bottom, 3 on top. It's a 10 millimeter socket. You just remove those, knock this with a hammer a handful of times to get it loose. It's actually going to be that way. That's how it is when it gets knocked loose. Knock that loose, and you just pull that out. Let the fluid drain, and then everything in reverse. Put it back together. As you can see, I got lucky. My husband did wake up and came out and just kind of started working on the car on his own. I had tore the whole thing apart, and I was more than capable of putting it back together. But it was 30 degrees, I was cold, I was exhausted. I truly was ready to call it quits. So he started putting it back together. Here he's got the water pump where it belongs, and he's putting the bolts back in. Tighten them down by hand at first. Once they are tightened down by hand, you would then get your 10 millimeter socket wrench to go ahead and tighten it all the way. Real simple, all done in reverse. Totally capable. Something that anyone is capable of doing if you could tear it apart. Don't forget the gasket that is behind the water pump. That is pretty self-explanatory. It has the holes that's needed. Now he's tightening down the pulley cover that goes over it. This, I believe, as well had a 10mm socket. It may have been a 13mm socket. I'd have to look, but honestly, I can't remember. So he's tightening that all down. Now, you're not going to get it all the way tight until you get the belt installed, because until then, it does move. Once the belt is installed, go ahead and go back around and re-tighten it. Don't forget to do that, like, until after you've already put the fan in, because it is very hard to retighten once that fan is in. Now the belt is getting put back on. Remember, the cover of the plastic housing going over the fan does have the diagram of how this belt would go back on. Another thing you can do is take a picture so you remember how it goes. But the belt is getting put back on to relieve the tension so that you can actually put it on completely, because it is way tight otherwise. You would again loosen that tensioner pulley and do that. Now we are moving on along to, I believe it's still the tensioner pulley getting loosened. I think that's what he's doing. Kind of hard to tell. But once that's loosened, you can put the belt on the right way, and you're ready to go to the next step. Now that that belt is installed, it's time to put the fan back in. Again, don't forget to tighten the nuts on your pulley before putting the fan in. It is a pain in the butt to do once that fan is in. Make sure you're aligning the tabs on the fan up with the tabs that the hook goes over. It's something that you're just going to wiggle around until you get past all of the stuff that you had to get past to begin with. Luckily, this one had that notch cut out. Be careful so you don't hit the radiator. Be careful so you don't damage the blades of the fan. Once it is fully in, you have to make sure you reconnect the AC lines into their slots. Reconnect your wiring harness. And make sure you bolt this back into the frame, which I believe was a 13mm socket. It said at the beginning of the film what you're using for that. It might have been a 10 as well, but I'm pretty sure it was a 13. Once it's all in place, though, it's pretty much together. You do have to tighten that bolt back on. It's a self-threading bolt for the clutch fan to the water pump. So you just turn the fan the opposite direction it would turn, or no, the direction it would turn, not the opposite, the direction it would turn until it threads itself back on. And then you take your handy dandy tool that we use to remove it and tighten it all the way down. Your final step that I did not get recorded, you need to put your coolant back into the engine. Go directly from the cap itself, and you can either use the pre-mixed or the self-mix, or the stuff that you have to mix yourself, which would be basically 1 gallon of the coolant, 1 gallon of distilled water. You're doing roughly 2 gallons is what's going to go in. You fill until it's at the top of the reservoir. Start your car up, wait till the thermostat opens up, and then it will actually start going into the engine, and at that point you can continue filling it until it is completely full. So, relatively easy, pretty simple. It's a lot of work, but it's doable. Hope you guys stay blessed. Have a great day.